Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to Question Reality with Priscilla Leona, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Hi, my name is Priscilla Leona, and I am producer and host of this show, Question Reality, coming to you live from Los Angeles, California. This show is definitely for you if you are questioning your career reality by considering or currently pursuing a career in the entertainment industry. For 8 years, our guests have provided advice and resource information on how and what it takes to successfully pursue a career in a wide variety of show business positions. Our guests on the show include Emmy winners, Grammy winners, Tony Award winners, reality TV stars, producers, directors, casting directors, talent managers, screenwriters, actors, singers, dancers, models, musicians, comedians, novelists. Oh my God, you get it. They go on and on and on. Oh, did I throw an entertainment attorney? Yes, we have them too. Script supervisors. My God, it's just endless. What's important to note is that all of our guests have been selected because they're at different stages of their careers. And that means from professional to beginner. And that says we are definitely going to have someone on the show who you can personally relate to, and they're able to answer all of your show business career questions, either on the air or from you being able to contact them directly, courtesy of listening to our show. It's one of the perks. If you missed any of our shows or you want to seek out advice about a specific entertainment career, you can always go to our archive page on the latalkradio.com website and you search for the title of our show, Question Reality, or you can search by my name, Priscilla Leona. And all of the Question Reality shows are also available for free on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.com, all under the podcast section. Please make sure you get our newly designed free app on the homepage of the latalkradio.com website, and that's located towards the bottom of the page on the right-hand side. Finally, very exciting news. If you want to be a guest or refer someone to be on this show, we are currently booking for 2017. As you know, we are always booked 6 months to a year in advance. So right now we're booking for March. So get on our website. Now you have to go to our official website to do that. That's questionrealityradioshow.com. questionrealityradioshow.com, and you click on the contact link. And everybody wants to be on the show. It's a hot happening show. And if talking about hot, woo! You should see this guy sitting to my left. Oh my Lord, there's smoke coming out everywhere in the door. It looks like a Cheech and Chong episode out from the lobby because there's smoke everywhere. He is smoking hot. His name is Slavik, IA, and Slavik is a director, an executive producer, an animator, a previous consultant, and one of the entertainment industry's most sought after VFX supervisor. With an S on it, supervisors. And Slavik has worked on 11 feature films, and they include Transformers 3, Dark of the Moon, TR2N, I wonder where that is. I think that's Tron, but I'm not sure. We'll ask him. Rise of the Planet of the Apes, The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Empire, Flags of Our Fathers, and it goes on and on and on and on and on. And he has been a director of more than 70 commercials, not only as a director, but animator, previs consultant, and again, VFX supervisor. And Slavik is also the co-founder of Orange Wolf Pictures, an IP, which is intellectual property, content company, as well as an executive producer at Blue Star Studios, alongside with Susan B. Flanagan, who is an Emmy Award-winning writer. Now, I don't know. I saw this somewhere on Slavik's site. We're going to have to ask him about this. I threw it in, but it says that he is the author of Lessons on the Toilet. What? What the hell is that? What kind of book is that? What can you learn on the toilet? Oh, actually, you can learn a lot on the toilet. You can read, you can write. People do all kinds of things on the toilet. Now, welcome, Slavik. Yeah, cut. Not a fade, it's a cut. What happened? They all the fans stopped clapping at one time.
Oh, no.
So, first of all, I want to get started on that. Author of Lessons on the Toilet. Is that a book or what is that?
Well, Lessons on the Toilet was something that whenever I'd be sitting on the toilet, that would be the only time that I would check my Twitter page and Twitter feed. And for some reason, a lot of my better ideas come to me while I'm on the toilet. So I started this little thing where anything that's kind of clever that comes into my head, I would Twitter it. But I stopped tweeting a while ago.
Oh, well, yeah. Good. All right. Well, some of the best work does come in the bathroom. How many people have...
Shower is another good
one.
Yes.
Right. Showers. I mean, there are only so many things you can do in the bathroom. So showering and using the toilet, I would imagine, are good places. What else are you going to do?
Some people sing. Some people think of their future.
Albert, who is our recording engineer and executive producer, who is that musician, famous Beatle, right, that wrote a song in the shower? Who was that?
I don't know.
Okay, great. He tells me these little tidbits, and then when I ask him, he can't remember. I think it was a Beatle who wrote something in the shower. I think it definitely was.
I remember Paul McCartney dreamed something, and it turned out to be Yesterday, and he was asking the others, have you heard this before? And they hadn't, so he figured
No, I think
his song.
One of them did something in the shower. Who knows? All right, let's move on about zero. Well, that's great. Is that a book available anywhere?
No, it is not a book.
Oh, you just consider yourself an author.
You know what happened? I was doing it pretty hardcore, like at least once a day, and then after about 2 weeks, I ran out of any lessons, and I'm like, all right, that's done.
Okay. Now, Slavik, you're our very first VFX supervisor, and for those who don't know or might be interested in being a VFX supervisor, what are the responsibilities of this position, and if they differ, whether you're working on a film or a commercial or a music video?
They do differ. The main responsibility of a visual effects supervisor is to make sure that any kind of visual effects that gets put into the film is as seamless as possible. So basically, as invincible as to the eye, to the audience's eye as possible. Sometimes not. Sometimes the director wants a specific look, but the visual effects supervisor is responsible for all the aspects of that process, which is a very, very heavy, tedious, long, very expensive process. But in the end of the day, it's kind of a catch-22 because the better the visual effects are in the movie, the less you're able to see them, which basically all the harder you work, the more invisible your work is, which is a little tricky.
What's the difference? I've heard of an FX supervisor, but is an FX and VFX, is that the same position?
No,
what's the difference?
FX usually refers to a special part of the process which deals with particles and simulation. Think smoke, fire, explosions, and that is generally called FX. And there is, under visual effects supervisor, there are other supervisors supervising each one of their, specialties, whether it's modeling, rigging, animation. I mean, there was about 10 to 11 different areas that need its own, set of specialists, supervisors. So it's a very, very complicated.
It's so complicated, I don't understand what the hell a VFX supervisor does. And I'm going to say, Slavik, I'm going to put it out there. All right, so give me an example, a movie right now out that maybe most of us have seen where you could explain what a VFX supervisor did that we would notice in a movie. Say a Star Trek movie, a Star Wars movie. I'm sure a lot of people saw those. Or what's that one movie that was out? Maybe one that you worked on. What about Tron? Or Transformers? What about Transformers?
On Transformers, usually there are a few different houses. By houses, I mean companies like, for example, ILM or Digital Domain, because there's so many effects on those visual effects, driven movies like Transformers. Usually there's, anywhere from like 300 to even like up to 1,000 shots. So a visual effects supervisor, for example, who I know personally, Matthew Butler, who was a visual effects supervisor in Transformers from Digital Domain, he made sure, he was on set, he made sure that they shot the elements correctly on set, because you have to do a lot of, separation of elements so you can put them and composite them later. So being on set, making sure everything is done right, it's a very kind of, you're almost, you're in a way a problem solver, because the director, they're thinking about the bigger vision, they deal with actors, they have their own thing going on, and the visual effects supervisor is kind of right underneath him, and he's basically thinking, okay, if the director wants this, how are we going to achieve this? And they kind of almost do the calculation, and they have to do it really fast, really efficiently, because everything in visual effect costs a lot of money. So it's just one of those processes that if you don't do it the right way, it's going to end up costing way more than you have, which is never good.
I'm going to ask you to be the director and then the visual effects supervisor. If you were a director, what would you say to a VFX supervisor that you want it done? And then what would the VFX supervisor do? Okay,
all right. Well, let's think of a scene. Let's say a car is, driving down the road at 90 miles per hour and it crashes into a wall, right? So a very simple scenario. So obviously we don't want that, because whoever's driving the car, we want them alive. So for example, if we would take the real car in that shot, and then by the time it crashes, it would, we would swap in a CG car and, make the explosion happen. This way, it looks real, but we're not, killing the stunt driver in any way. As a director, I would tell him, okay, I would like it from, the shot from this perspective, from, with this camera focal length. I would like the explosion to be like enormous for whatever reason, right? And once I tell the visual effects supervisor everything that I need in terms of the story, in terms of the mood, I would give him all the details possible, right? So he has all that information in front of him. And then the visual effects supervisor would say, okay, well, we need to, he would think of how would we actually shoot this. So obviously the car cannot crash. The car will have to go through the, let's say, the wall. Then where are we going to get the explosion from? Well, we're either going to, generate it with computers or, shoot like a miniature explosion, whichever makes sense for the budget. There's a lot of factors to consider. There is money to consider. There is creative aspect to consider. There's always time to consider. It's pretty complicated. And then he would just, figure out how to achieve the vision of the director. So he would, get all those elements, shoot them properly, maybe against green screen so they can, composite them later.
Well, with it being such an expensive process, do you get to test it first? Because the director will say, yeah, I want it big, but then your idea big and his might be two different things.
Well, there is, I don't know about testing, but definitely you get revisions. So, like, for example, if there is a really strong communication and process between the two, the director and the visual effects supervisor, the visual effects supervisor will really understand, will really start thinking not just in terms of visual effects, but really how does this help the story? And at the end of the day, that's what really matters. He will be kind of juggling those two balls at the same time, because if he's just thinking in terms of just visual effects, there's going to be a disconnect between visual effects and how this translates into the story. And I feel like when the process is that streamlined, the visual effects supervisor can start letting other people underneath him kind of deal more with like how it looks, how big it needs to be, and he's thinking like, really, does this help the story? Like, so he's kind of thinking he almost has 2 feet in both camps in a way, where the director doesn't necessarily have to have the 2 feet in both camps. Right. He can stay in his camp and just think story, like experience.
Exactly. Now, obviously a feature film would need a VFX supervisor if it requires. I would imagine every movie these days requires visual effects of some sort, right?
To an extent, you can still make a movie without any visual effects, but even like titles, they generally do some kind of, an experience with either graphics or whatever.
Yeah, they're very sophisticated titles these days. Yeah. I remember back in the day as a child, I saw one of the movies I can remember was seeing Grease. And I was blown away by I guess it's called the main title design, the intro, because it was animated. Because Grease, a lot of people don't know this, but Grease actually was going to be an animated movie. before. Yes.
I've never.
Yes, it was
that.
going to be an animated movie. Imagine not seeing John Travolta. I would die. But yeah, it was actually going to be an animated movie. So they kept the animation part of the movie. And I thought, wow, because it was like the titles were flying in and then there was this coming up. And I was mesmerized by that. And I guess that started a whole bunch of fancy what's it, main title design? Is that what it's called in the beginning, the intro, when they do? Yeah, main title design. That's when they started doing all kinds of visual effects. Now you got all kinds of stuff happening. I actually love to see a movie to see how creative they get in the beginning with the visual effects.
Actually, I have a very interesting, perspective on visual effects. I feel like the movies that really utilize visual effects, I don't want to say to its fullest, but like in a way that it can be like an art form, are generally the movies you wouldn't expect it to be, and movies that really hide the visual. It's really interesting. I wrote an article a couple of months ago about this, and this is based on my experience on my music film that I did for Generation Maze that I finished last year, and not only was I director, but I was also the visual effects supervisor, so I was wearing a lot of hats at the same time. And during the process, it took 3.5 years for me to complete this because it was all visual effects driven. It was 180 green screen shots. And it was very difficult because, the more you get into visual effects, the more you start thinking about all these things that, you have to do to make it look good, so it integrates with the live action really well, the less you're actually thinking as a director. It's two different ways of thinking about the same shot, And if you're doing it as one person, you almost have to, step to the left, think about it from this perspective, and step to the right, think about it from that perspective, and keep on doing that. And it's just very, very draining. And in that process, I kind of realized that, in today's, today's standards of visual effects are very, very high, and they're improving at a really rapid rate. And the people that are coming out of school right now, it's improving. They're so talented, already. And the visual effects are getting better and better and better, but no one really is, I don't want to say no one, but it's not really explored in Hollywood in terms of visual effects as an art form. I mean, it's more there like a sugar candy, to get you into the seat in the theater.
Sometimes the intros to the movies are actually better than the movies. I hate to say it, but I've seen some where I go, wow, and then the movie is so disappointing. I'm like, what happened to that great intro?
Yeah.
The movie with the special effects. Now, it sounds from the way you're describing this VFX supervisor position that this is so technical. What kind of schooling does one need to even get to that level? Like, what kind of schooling or on-the-job training do you need to get a paying position in this profession?
Visual effects supervisor is the highest position in visual effects creatively. Okay. Right? So it's kind of, you definitely need experience. I don't know anyone that's straight out of school that would even be, remotely, what's the best way to say it? Ready for that process. It's such a heavy process. And the thing is, I work with some of the best visual effects supervisors in the business, and the way they were describing it to me, every movie is its own adventure. So you're not ready for your next movie, no matter how much you learned the last time. Every movie is different, and every movie comes with its certain elements and different people, budgets, and all that stuff. So I almost feel like it takes a person that has experience and knowledge how to approach the problem, because every problem is going to be different, and even though you solve last one, the next one's going to be completely different. It's going to challenge you in its own ways, and that's what I kind of figured out from the experiences that visual effects supervisors have been telling me. I think you need to know knowledge of every step of the process, obviously, and you need to be very, very comfortable knowing what not to do and what to do and why and when. And
you got to have some sort of base training. Like what software do you learn in school? Is it like Final Edit?
Generally, I would say the visual effects supervisor that I've seen that came through the ranks came through compositing. And compositing in the visual effects process is the last step in the finalization of the shot. Basically, it's when all the elements, live action, the explosion, dust, smoke, everything gets put together, and that is your final shot. And usually compositors, because they're responsible for the look of the shot and a lot of the, kind of like major details of the shot, they generally tend to become visual effects supervisors. The way that I kind of became a visual effects supervisor, I did it through directing. In other words, I didn't want to be a visual effects supervisor. I wanted to be a director.
Oh.
But because my vision as a director were so, it was so visual effects heavy, I had to learn myself. And actually, on that 3.5-year project, when I went into it, I didn't know a lot of things, and I had friends that would say, "Yeah, we'll help you, and I'm like, "Okay, good, because I don't know this, know." And they were busy and they couldn't help me, and I literally had to learn step by step, like what to do after this. And in the beginning, it took a long time. It took me sometimes like 2 months to figure out one little detail. And you think, well, how does it take 2 months to figure out one little detail? Well, there is no handbook on how to do it right unless you've, did it before, like at a big company, and you know exactly what to do. So the way to figure out is you try it, and then, you go through the next steps, and you say, oh, that was wrong. Okay, there's something off here, whether it's color. There's so many technical, I don't want to bore anyone.
You're not, actually.
There's so many technical things there that can go wrong. You really need to...
do you look at color correction when you're doing this?
Well,
do you look at... You're looking at all of
everything
together.
Everything.
Whereas a color correction person would just look at color correction.
Yes,
you're looking at that, and then you're looking at post-production sound.
Even before, for example, there can be animation put into a shot. The shot has to go through a big process of, the plate has to be undistorted, for example. The lens distorts the frame, so any straight lines that you have will be distorted based on the lens. So you have to undistort the plate, which means that, it's not a difficult process per se, but it's just something that has to be done. Then there's tracking of the shot where, if the shot is moving, you have to have a CG camera that's exact replica of the live camera. So basically anything you put into the shot with computers seemingly blends in with the live plate. So before you can even get to anything creative, you have to set up the shot, and and this is for every shot, and there is sometimes 100, 200, hundreds of shots. It just takes a long time, and you have to do it the right way. There is no such thing as doing it the wrong way, because if you do it the wrong way, it'll show up at the end, and then you go, oh man, I have to do it the right way.
Damn. Now people, when you go to these blockbuster movies and you see 50,000 names scrolling up the screen, this is why it takes so much. And you wonder, why does a movie cost, $50 million? This is why. One of the reasons,
50,
right?
100 million.
Half to the actor, the rest visual effects. Right? Oh, my God. So let me ask you, how would you know that this type of career is one that might be of interest to you? Say you're a young guy and you're going, well, it kind of sparks my interest, but I don't know when I go into college if I should focus on that. What is it that would make you say, you might want to lean towards this as a career? Like, for example, if you want to be a car salesman, you go, wow, I love cars. I love the thrill of actually a person coming to me, and I love the idea of selling them the car. So I know I want to be a car salesman. What do you feel? What would you feel? Like I would think you'd have to like to see things blow up, right? I would think that might be an indicator. I think that you might like to see effects that have never been done before, like transitions between a human becoming an alien right in front of you. That would be a visual effect, right?
Yes. I think... if you're the type of person that really likes not just reality, but likes to maybe distort reality or explore reality and virtual reality and things like that, or your imagination, because basically this tool, visual effects, it's a tool like every other tool, in the process, the big process of filmmaking and music videos and commercials. It's a tool to basically make an idea that you have in your head come to life. And maybe this idea, you cannot do it in reality. Maybe it's too expensive or just physically impossible. And visual effects is the tool to do that. So if you have ideas that, really are generally very hard to do in real life, then visual effects is a very great tool to get those ideas on screen and,
And I would think as a director now, with everything being so high tech, you should definitely acquire those skills and put them in your toolbox, because if you want to be a director and save money starting out, if you have those visual effects abilities, you can do both. You can be the director and the visual effects person, right? And save a little money with your student film.
It definitely helps to know this process, but I don't want to give this process more weight than any other process, because because I've been directing for 6 years now. When I started out, my expectations, my vision was extremely different than what it is now. And now I appreciate a lot of things that I didn't appreciate a long time ago. For example, I really appreciate actors' performances, something like that. In fact, I took an interesting class with a lady called Joan Shekel, and it was dealing with actors' performances, and I really appreciated what I was learning there, and I really enjoy performances now as opposed to like visual effects. I enjoy, for example, what an editor does. It takes a long time to kind of realize what each process adds to the the end result, and once you appreciate it, you love it. So if your background is editing, you can. I think every background can get into, if you want to be a director, you can definitely get there. What you're going to come with is your strength, which is whether it's editing, whether it's visual effects, whether you're really great with actors, whether you're a talented, screenplay writer, there's a thing actually, I don't think it exists on paper. I don't think it exists in the industry. Concept developer. I mean, no one really. What is a concept developer? Because generally people think, a writer is a concept developer. Well, I wouldn't consider myself a writer per se, but I develop concepts I think are really exciting. In fact, that's what actually the name of the company is Orange Wolf Content, and we have 7 really exciting IPs, and we're actually getting ready to pitch 2 of them. My partner and I, Jack Kasperzak, and 2 of them are cartoons that he created. And we're ready. We probably will be ready to go in about a couple of weeks, to a month. Yeah,
we're going to talk about that now. I want to know. Of course, I'm on the wrong page again. Not to embarrass you, but I am. You are one of the entertainment industry's most sought-after VFX supervisors, and as we said earlier, having worked on 11 feature films, more than 70 commercials as an animator. I don't know what a Previs consultant is, or Previs.
Oh, I can explain all that.
Yeah. Now, other than technical schooling and training, what do you, Slavik, provide that make people feel so honored and lucky to have you work on the project? Because if you're sought after, I want Slavik. Well, why do they want you, Slavik? Other than you being gorgeous and hot, which the females would want, and maybe some males, but the males are like, he's competition. I don't want him on the set, but I have to have him. Why?
Well, first, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. Second, I wouldn't say I'm one of the most sought out VFX.
It was in your bio, so
who wrote my bio?
Somebody wrote that.
I'm definitely. I would say, in terms of previs, I'm one of the more sought out people.
What is that?
Previsualization is another step in the process where it's basically, for the first time, imagine you would see visuals of the film, and it can be very, very rough. So director says, I have a shot of a man running down the street. And it's just in his head, and the executive producer thinks, okay, well, I can kind of visualize that as well. Previs is the first step of the process that lets everyone on the team see what it will look like. And it's based on creator's vision. And it's basically 3D, animation done very, very roughly. It looks kind of almost like terrible game footage, but it really gives you an idea of what is going to be shot.
Is it an animation?
It is an animation, yeah. It's almost like an animated version of a shot, whether it's live action or it is full CG, but it's a very creative process. It's a very rough process. It's still when the movies, sometimes the script can still be being written while the process is
And why
done.
do they call it Previs? Is that the software?
No, Previs is short for previsualization. Yeah.
See that? Look what we learned today. Look at that. So they want you because...
They want...
Go ahead, tell us why they want ya. Come on.
The people that
What do you offer? Because there's people out there that are listening going, I might think of hiring Slavik. Wonder why everybody wants them. Well, what do you offer?
I think I provide a strong background of directing, which is when you're doing previsualization in the way you are directing, at least visuals a little bit, I mean, you're blocking, you're figuring things out. So I have the experience of being on set, also as a visual effects supervisor. So when I previs a shot, I add a lot, one, I make it look good, obviously. Two, I really pay attention to the director who I'm working with and what they would like. And three, I try to give them more than they actually ask for because I think I'm able to do so. And, when you're, a director, when you're a visual effects supervisor, when you're a previs artist, all those three positions you could say are different. And I'm aware of where I am and also how am I being helpful to the process. So I really make sure that I provide, the best quality that the director can provide. And also the fact that I have the visual effects background, I know a lot of tools and software. Like, for example, I know a compositing software where I can generate a lot of very fast visuals. So basically, I'm very efficient, very fast. Also, I'm a good problem solver. And
personality, because not you can have the skills and all of this huppity, but you also have to have certain characteristic traits because yes, we see Spielberg who always wants to work with Tom Hanks, and you see certain people who love working with certain people, and they go, it's a clique. But you know what? It's not a clique. It's just that these people work with them because they're responsible, they're reliable, they're dependable, and they bring something that is compatible. So that falls into characteristic traits, Yes. So you have to have patience.
Good problem solver. Have a very good eye for visuals, really understand the process, the whole process really, really well. Have to think in terms of acting and in terms of performances. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that.
You got to be flexible.
Yes.
Yes. You can't be a pest and be difficult. Don't get on my nerves, damn it. So
if you're going to be difficult, you might as well be a director.
Yeah. Oh, I heard that. Now, you are co-founder of Orange Wolf Pictures, and that is an IP intellectual property.
It's actually Orange Wolf Content.
See that? I pulled it all off of your website. You better fix that.
Actually, that was true 6 months ago. It isn't true anymore.
Oh, okay.
So Orange Wolf Pictures is actually my own company, and it's more of a live action production company.
Okay.
And Orange Wolf Content is the IP company with Jack and I, which is an IP company, and we have...
See, that was my question. For those who don't know what an IP intellectual property content company means, what kind of company is that? Can you briefly explain? A lot of people are like, what the hell is that? I don't know, but they want to know.
Yes. So basically, we come up with ideas, and both Jack and I, Jack is a animation director at DreamWorks, so he has a very fun, cool position. He loves his job. And... I have my own ideas. He has his own ideas, and we've been friends for a long time, and we just basically came together and said, hey, why don't we develop this together? Because we can. And his strength is more 2D. He's an illustrator. He draws, he writes. And my strength is more, directing, 3D, editing, compositing. I deal with music. So us, combine. But the main thing about us is we work really well together, and that he's the only person that I've known for, I've been in LA for more than 10 years. I've been in the industry for more than 10 years. Out of all the people that I've met, out of all the people, even friends, people that I get along with really well, even, ask for advice, he's the only one that I really, really click with, and he and I are on the same wavelength. So it doesn't, I can tell him something and he's going to know exactly what I'm talking about. And not in terms of just understanding where I'm coming from, but, knowing the nuances of where exactly I'm coming from. So that is extremely important to me. So I'm so glad that we're working together, and we have a really great partnership where, I go to his house and he makes me food when I come by. I feel like a king when I get there. And he and I basically he developed a couple of ideas which are more cartoons and books, and mine are more feature films because I really enjoy live action more. And we just combined everything, and it's part of this umbrella, which is Orange Wolf Content, and we're going to be launching the website pretty soon. So
when you say intellectual property, are you talking about, for example, intellectual property means different things. So intellectual property, for example, when I hear that, business-wise, I think it's relating to the internet. But intellectual property, for example, if you come up with an idea and you're a writer and you come up with a concept and you send it into the Writers Guild. And next thing you know, you see a show called Monk. And you go, what the hell? That's my idea. I sent it into the Writers Guild. How the hell did it get on TV? Well, if you try to sue, then you go to court and they say that your concept is considered intellectual property. So that is my idea of intellectual property. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the same thing.
Okay,
yes.
So you're talking about the same thing.
The way we think about it is because, I mean, you can, anyone that writes a TV show, that's intellectual property. The way that we approach our intellectual property is a little different because our properties have the capacity to be made into games, apps, kind of go beyond the base, which is usually either a film or a TV show, episodic TV show. And for some reason, all of our properties have that capability. Oh. And that's very important to us.
So you write them to be open, to be flexible, where you could develop them into different avenues.
Yes, but it's almost, we don't do it on purpose. I feel like it's like it just naturally came about to be that way. And we can say that about all of our properties.
So you come up with the ideas, but what happens after? Do you hire a screenwriter to write it out, to flesh it out for you?
We do. On one of our properties, actually, we hired a gentleman by the name of Martin Horvath, and he helped develop a property of ours called Daily Mobster. And actually, Daily Mobster right now is a blog that Jack did a long time ago. And if you go to www.dailymobster.com, you can check out all the characters from the universe. And it's a very, very cool mobster show. Quite honestly, there's nothing like it right now, like that. And it's like 1930s alternate kind of mobster universe show where we do. It's very dark, but at the same time, it's very funny and dry. Oh. And we kind of try that fine line. And Martin Horvath, who we hired to, do the writing for us, he actually just won a student Oscar. So he's nominated for.
Is it shot like in a web series format, or
right now we just have the basic development package. We're working on the visuals. We actually got toys printed, so we're going to be photographing the toys next week. Actually, with a great
original characters.
Original, very interesting characters.
I guess you can't tell us what the characters are.
You have to look at them.
Darn it!
I mean, if you go to the Daily Mobster blog, you'll see there all kinds of characters. We basically
are they Marvel type superhero
no.
characters or what?
No. They're like mobsters with
definitely mobsters.
Definitely every character has their own personality, has its own feel, look. We have a character named Baron Samedi, who is this voodoo priest. So we have like this mix of reality, but at the same time also a little bit of supernatural, a little bit of magic, all combined in this, city of, basically a story about two feuding families. Wow. So
if we go on that website, we can actually watch it. On a video? No, not yet.
You can see a lot of the characters. You can read about them.
Okay.
We're going to start pitching the show, and we're going to try to pitch this to Amazon, Hulu, Netflix. We have another show as well that we're going to be pitching at the same time called Hello Doctor, and it's a very different show, but also animated. We've just spent this year developing them to a large degree, and we're almost ready. That's why we're very, very
takes
excited.
a long time to develop, isn't it?
It does, because you have to think about things. There is the business aspect of it.
Which people forget, the business aspect.
Oh, that's the main thing.
Oh, because, as an artist, you just want to think about creating and the art and the craft. But, honey, it is called show business. You cannot forget about the business. You have to have an idea of what you're doing. What advice would you say to people who don't want to focus on the business?
Well, if you don't want to focus on the business, get somebody that will, because that's a necessary part of any of this, yeah.
It is so important. Oh, now, you're also an executive producer at, I hope I got this right, Slavik. I've been batting 1,000 with this bio. You also an executive producer at Blue Star Studios alongside Susan B. Flanagan, who is an Emmy Award-winning writer. So for those who don't know the difference between being a producer and executive producer, can you briefly explain the differences, the training, and what makes a great producer and executive producer?
Well, that's a very...
Executive producer means money. Money. Go ahead.
It's a very, very big question, you could say. And the answer is different in every production. Obviously, executive producer is always...
the money guy or the money lady.
Producer. But it really depends as far as...
The producers can wear many different hats.
Yes,
As a producer, you can't say they only do this and they only do that. They do just about everything.
You can help with creative solutions to problems because generally director wants something and then the producer goes, we don't have the money for that. So then what's the next step? Well, then the producer goes, usually for some reason it's the producer that always kind of like, and I know why, because the director's like, this is my vision.
Yes.
No, you don't understand.
Yes.
I'm making art here.
Yes.
And the executive producer goes, well, what if we do this way? Or what if we try to get this? And then after a while, the director goes, yeah, that could work.
Yes, that's true.
And it's going to cost a lot less money, and we can actually pull it off, and that's the...
Right. Because I have a production company. I'm a producer, and of course, not on the big scale level, but I just do short films, web series, and music videos. And first thing I think about is when I see a script, how much is it going to cost? Where's the money? I think, who can I get money from? Where can I get the money for this? Where's that money coming from? That's what I think. Whereas the director's going, and I see blue and green and yellow and there's smoke coming up and we're going to have an infinity pool. And then I have to say, no, that's $1,500 a day on the bird streets in Beverly Hills. That's not happening. So, it just, you can't be limited by that. A producer does so much.
It's almost funny in a way because, director is in his la la land. And,
yes.
And he has to be. I think he has to be, unless he's
the
also...
creator, the visionary.
He's the visionary behind the full thing.
He's the storyteller.
So he has to be embodied in this. And if he's not, you're going to see the end result.
Yeah.
So it's funny because then when, the idea of money and this is too expensive comes up, he gets pulled out of this la la land and he faces the reality and he goes,
they don't
okay.
like it. But they always come up with a creative solution. If you're a great director.
And sometimes they come up with an even a better solution.
One. Yeah. And more realistic to the film. Yes. So that works. So push the directors a little bit, producer. Push them a little bit, see what they can do. Now, tell me about your partner, Susan B. Flanagan. What project did she win the Emmy? Have we heard of it? Or?
She won the Emmy for the show called Overhauling from, I think it was on this Discovery Channel a long time ago.
Okay.
And Susan and I have been friends for, I think, about 7 or 8 years.
What does she do with you?
We worked together on my first film, which is not available anywhere because I want to make sure that it's not available anywhere.
Oh, we want to see it.
No, you don't.
We want to see the visual effects.
My first film was my first slap in the face of the reality of directing and filmmaking because I was so spoiled by working on big budget movies and visual effects that I didn't realize how much money it actually took to get these beautiful shots. It really takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of talent as well, but you do need money. You have to pay for the lights, you have to pay for the camera, you have to pay for the lenses, you have to pay for the actors. That stuff doesn't come free. And it took me that project to realize what I was missing. And hence on my second project, Synthetic World, which is one of our IPs actually, it's a sci-fi film, I realized what I needed to do to make that look like much more than it actually cost. And when people look at that, they think that, wow, this does have a professional look to it.
Yeah.
They don't question the money behind it. They just pay attention to the story.
They don't question the reality of it.
They don't question the reality of it. But actually, it took me learning what I was missing from the first film to make sure that
you get better every film you do, hopefully, or you're in the wrong business with anything. Now, what are some of your most recent projects that you want to tell us about? Okay. And some of your future projects?
Okay. Well, the most recent project that I finished was actually for 2 friends of mine that just got married, and it was their wedding film. Oh. And it was we did something slightly different where we took their story, how they met, and we did a conceptual film that actually shot on iPhone. And this was my first time working on iPhone.
I love it. I love that because ever since I saw Tangerine, I went out and I paid over $1,000 to buy an iPhone, and I'm like, yes, I'm going to cut down all. I don't need to put up a campaign on Indiegogo or Kickstarter. I don't need to bug my friends for money. I'm going to just shoot it on my iPhone. Well, you can't shoot it at night, honey. If it's not in the day,
no.
Oh, God, I was so mad. Nobody told me that. You have to shoot it. It looks great if you shoot on an iPhone in the day, but at night, forget about it.
It was very interesting because my past two projects, I was working with, the Red MX, Red Dragon, which are, professional cameras. And then going to iPhone, it was kind of an interesting experience because on one hand, the beauty of shooting an iPhone is the freedom and the flexibility of the movement that you have. You're not, you don't have to move lights around.
But you can't do the shots like you can't do the shots where you come through a window. Back. The shots where oh God, who is it? Orson Welles. Okay, so the Red Bud film, Red Bud. Oh God, I can't think. Okay, so he takes and he goes through the window right into the living room. You can't do that with the iPhone. I tried, it doesn't work. You know how you take the camera and it's coming towards the window pane and then it goes right through.
You mean on a dolly crane?
Yeah, right through the window. I mean, you can't do it on the iPhone.
You definitely have somewhat of a limitation with iPhone, but then you have this freedom of not so much that you're going to get better shots with iPhone, but you have the flexibility on set when you're shooting to be able to move things around really fast. And the fact
I need to hire him to come and shoot my next film on the iPhone because I've given up.
It's a lot of fun.
I was thinking because I shot a music video with 2 iPhones. Oh my God, it turned out great. Oh, I shot it in downtown LA and I had them up here and it was daytime. It looked beautiful. But I tried to shoot something at night. It was just horrible. And I watched these commercials on TV and they show these whales and then the sunset and it says, this was shot on the iPhone. I'm like, what the hell? How did they shoot that at nighttime? I can't shoot it and I've got the latest iPhone. I can't get these shots. What's the secret?
I don't know if there is a secret to shooting at night with the iPhone.
I shot with the 4K and it still didn't work. No, you can't shoot at night. So is that the end result? You can't shoot at night on the iPhone? You cannot
shoot at night because we shot in magic hour lighting. So we did the 5 a.m., 5 p.m. basically lighting. And even then when, we started, shooting, because we didn't have to have that much continuity in terms of the color. Yeah. I mean, because the film is kind of very conceptual, so we're able to jump around, between the different layers, you could say. When we were first shooting, the footage is just more grainy and it doesn't pick up as well and it doesn't look as good. But, iPhone does definitely have its limitations. No doubt. I mean, you're looking at a very small lens. I mean, you're not going to compete with, the Alexa.
I bought the fisheye. I had the fisheye on it. I bought all of these accoutrements to put on it. And it looks great in the day, but at nighttime. So I guess you can only do day films, right?
Nighttime shooting is
Forget it. Then you got to switch to the Red Mysterium.
But I mean, if you're going to have if you're going to get expensive lights, then you can shoot at night.
Yeah.
But you need
China ball.
You need the lighting.
My next music video I'm shooting with the China ball light. Oh, I got it already envisioned. Now I just have to have somebody make it come true. Okay, so we want to know what your projects, what's exciting that's coming up that we can look at. Now your website is slavmonster.com, SLAVMONSTER.com. Does it have all your latest projects? What are you doing? Get us excited.
It does have all my latest projects. You can check them out. I have all my projects are all very different because every time I finish one, it's almost like I could say, okay, I've done this, check, what's next for me, what's exciting for me. And my understanding of the process changes so rapidly and my excitement for things changes so rapidly. That's something that I really liked 2 years ago. I'm not going to like anymore, or even 6 months ago. So every one of my projects is actually very different. And I don't know.
So the average person cannot hire you. You are beyond reach for the average independent filmmaker.
That's not true. I think I always
You're
think
more like hanging out with Steven Spielberg, right? And J.J. Abrams. So if you're an independent filmmaker, you can try. Go to slavmonster.com, but I don't know if you'll be able to get him.
No, it's actually the opposite. I'm very much. In fact, I kind of reached the point in my career where I'm more interested in working with artists that are trying to make it, like really creative people that are good, that are trying to make it, rather than established artists, because I feel like there is more energy, a lot more, the very thing that you're after. And it's, if you're after money, there's another way to go. But if you, in terms of creativity, raw excitement of something new happening, definitely the upcoming artists, the ones that don't have any money. Those are the exciting ones to work with.
Wait, Slav might be the one for you. Slavik might be. I'm back on the Slavik IA train now. Based on what he said, I might be able to afford him. I'm going to have to cash in some stocks and bonds, but I might have him direct my next project.
If it's fun, it's very
What's
inexpensive.
fun for you? Like me, I'm all comedy. That's it. I have no interest in murder, death, kill, slashing, blood. It's comedy, comedy, comedy. What's fun for you? You're not. Oh, damn it. Oh, damn it. Slavik was just going to tell me what's fun for him. Real quick. Like 5 seconds.
What's fun for me now is comedy somehow.
Oh my God! I'm gonna hire Slavik. Oh my God! He's gonna direct my Sammy and Delilah comedy. That's it. I've already got the budget. The money's been sitting in the bank for years. I just couldn't find the right director. You might get to see the hot Slavik directing my film, people. All right. Go to his website, slavmonster.com, SLAVmonster.com, and he is available for hire independent filmmakers.
That's correct.
I'm going to get a card from him. You have a business card.
Absolutely.
And then if you email me, I will give you... actually, I guess you could contact him right directly on his website, but I'm still going to get his card because I might hire him. All right, everybody. Say goodbye to your fans, Mr. Slavik IA.
Fans, take care, good luck, and, enjoy LA.
You got to go to Google, honey. Go to Google Images and type Slavik because you got to see how hot this guy is. You want to hire him and just pretend you have a movie and just say, I have a meeting. It's meet me at the Four Seasons Hotel. All right. That's enough, girls. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next week on Question Reality. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You're listening to Question Reality with Priscilla Leona, right here on LA Talk Radio.